What's up, guys? It's your boy PSGINT here, back with another podcast. Today, I'm with FPL legend. All right,
Oh,
and
sorry,
I'm
brother. Sorry, brother. I did not know I was supposed to speak. Yeah, I'm here.
yo that pause, and I'm with Widowmaker.
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
So, we can talk about the game. Paris Saint Germain 3-1 against Nantes. We're mostly talking about the most stuff, but we can take it generally. So, FPL legend, you can start. What would you say is one of the stuff that we Paris Saint Germain need to work on from a neutral
Wijnaldum.
perspective?
I think Wijnaldum is it already has been shown to not be of the level of PSG, and is he gave away a penalty, and even besides that, he was just so poor. He was so poor, and he's a real weakness in the PSG midfield.
What was it exactly that you saw from him being a big flaw?
Um, I think maybe maybe um
It's actually pretty easy why. Wijnaldum seems like he doesn't want to play. He plays for the money, but he doesn't want to be on the pitch. You can see it when Paris Saint is in the build-up. He's barely really reaching for the ball. He's running away from the ball, thus making it hard for
I
Verratti.
actually disagree with that. I actually don't think he's playing for the money. I think he's played out. I know for a fact that he's played out of position. Like, I don't know how many of you know. I used to watch Netherlands, and for them, where he plays is in the cam position. He's a midfielder, but he's mainly that centralized cam position, and he cannot play any other position. I don't know how he played for Liverpool because I rarely ever watched him, but whenever he played in that cam position, especially in the Euros, he played actually quite well. He just cannot play that center defensive center midfielder with the focus on defense. He's just crap at that. But I don't, I no, the money rhetoric is just not fair.
Well,
Go on.
maybe it's also self-confidence, but from my perspective, when I've seen Wijnaldum playing in the Euros, I wasn't really convinced of what he did. He might have scored 3 goals, but those 3 goals were just purely because of the Netherlands. They had good players and they had a good build-up and all. And I don't know. At Liverpool, I don't think he played as a cam. To be honest, he was more as a workforce, playing as a central midfielder. But that's also a reason why Liverpool never kept him at the end of the season last year. So
No, it was a mutually
I
agreed
think Klopp
departure.
saw that he didn't have really the ability anymore. He had Kaita, another workforce who was better. So then he just sold Wijnaldum, and so Wijnaldum has never really accomplished anything at Paris Saint-Germain.
Mm,
I don't think he will. I really don't think he will.
FPL legend. You are a Premier League fan. The few times you watch Wijnaldum play against Leicester City, what different do you see in his game between now at Paris Saint Germain and before at Liverpool?
well, the reality is he was never really incredible at Liverpool either. I think maybe, yeah, I agree with the self confidence part. I think maybe he just looked a little more comfortable in possession. I think he was more comfortable carrying the ball up the field. Maybe that's, but overall defensively he was still pretty poor. He and he wasn't strong like tacklings or anything. He wasn't winning a lot of duels in the midfield. So I think if there's one thing I'd probably say self confidence.
Yeah, that's also
Uh,
a major part because when you look at Wijnaldum when he has the ball, he barely passes forward. He always goes back.
yeah.
It's like a confident midfielder like Verratti. They try to take risk, and I've seen the same thing with Frankie De Jong this season. He's lacking the self confidence. He doesn't really have the ability to go for riskful passes because of the lack of self confidence, and it might be a huge role for uh, Wijnaldum. So yeah, he might need to work on that.
Yeah, one argument I want to talk about, and that's the argument of a lot of people saying Premier League is such a physical league, which Naldo played in it and didn't have a physical problem, but he has come to League N, and every player outstrengthens him so easy. Is League N a more physical league than the Premier League?
No, that's the thing about
Yeah,
Premier
true.
League. Okay, Premier League is much more qualitative league. It's much more entertaining than the League One. I would say because it have bigger names. Like you don't have the amount of big names in Liga compared to the amount of big names in Premier League. Like six big clubs are there with big name players. Like
Mm.
Spurs have Kane and then all those players. That's why it's entertaining to watch. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's much more physical. Liga is way more physical, but it does not have the quality. I would say it's much more youth development league. Liga it's like it's like the league you send your youngster to develop, and it's the best league for that. And and that's why it's much more physical. That's why even Messi is struggling, I would say, with the physicality players, because in La Liga he would have had twice the numbers he had now, but he's just everyone, like even Neymar, the amount of injuries he picked up after moving from La Liga to Liga, he have picked up like twice as much injuries. He was not as injury prone in La Liga compared to Liga, and then the refereeing is poor too. So I would say Liga is a way more physical league than the Premier League. But
I understand
what
the
the
physical
Premier
part,
League is,
but for
yeah,
me, I
go on.
think with the problem with the Ligue 1 is it's they're so defensive. It's like park the bus every game. So then
But
it's
is
obvious
it
that
is it like that for every league and team, every league and game, or is it just most
it's
because
hard.
when
I
they
don't
play
know.
Paris Saint Germain?
Olympique Lyon and Marseille, I think they might have played a more attackful way, but for the rest of the teams in Ligue 1, as far as I've seen, really defensive. Like it's like they mentally they just know if we're gonna play attackful, we're gonna lose. So let's just play defensive and go on counters. That's what
All
I've
right.
seen.
True.
Comparison with the Premier League, really open, and La Liga
Yeah.
is also more open, creating more. I just that's the reason I think with with the attractiveness of a league, it has to do with how defensive a certain how certain teams play.
And I agree because the reality is Ligue 1 is from what I've seen is more physical than the Premier League. I think the physicality of the Premier League is highly overrated. I think what it has over Ligue 1 is simply, with all due respect, the players are probably on average just a little better. I think maybe technically they're just a little more gifted. I I think maybe they're just a little better players, but I disagree with the physicality. From what I've seen, Ligue 1 is a very physical league.
Yeah, it is.
Um, we talked about before with the Wijnaldum making back passes and so on. Mostly, I looked up the stats. So Wijnaldum this season for both national team and PSG has made 304 completed 327 short passes, completed 183 medium passes, and only 32 long passes. That's compared to Andre Herrera's 99 long passes and Marco Verratti's 145 long passes. And the completion rate for those long passes is the same. So it just means that he doesn't even try to do long passes. It's not that Verratti is taking more risk and only completing 60%. It's just that he's trying to move the ball more forward, whilst Wijnaldum doesn't do. What's the reason for that? Is it he's
I
not a good
think that
passer?
ultimately goes down to coaching, because who else can you blame? I think that's a player's mentality and coaching, because like I think Marquinhos I think does more long passes than that, because Marquinhos does way more than 30 long passes per season. Like so far, I think he have like much more assists than him, Wijnaldum. So I think that goes to mentality and maybe coaching, because like we see the stats. I'm sure all those people see the stats too, and
Yeah.
the whole management, Poch and the coaches, and they should be like, "Yo, Genie, look at this, 30. That's not good enough. Do more. Like take risk. We are like 13 points clear on top. You know, like get better." But I think that's the problem, and I think it's the players' mentality.
But the biggest question is, how did Wijnaldum play at Liverpool? What was his role? Did he play long passes as well, or was he just a workforce for the team? Because that can actually show whether his confidence is really low or just has always been low, but it's never being paid attention to.
Well, I don't think he was ever one who absolutely loved playing long passes, but he played more than uh 30, was it? He played a lot more than that, but he was never a super I mean he's never been like a super progressive player, but I feel like there is a little bit of a confidence issue because 30 is just really poor.
Yeah, but the Liverpool
Yeah.
thing
Yeah,
is that he played with Fabinho and Jordan Henderson and Milner, and they are all defensive midfielders, right? Henderson CDM, Fabinho CDM, Milner CDM, and Wijnaldum. I think that way Wijnaldum's more offensive. Wijnaldum has never played offensively for PSG, right? He's always either CM CDM position, and maybe that was the problem because I just pulled it up and yeah, he played a bit more offensive, not cam per se, but a midfielder placed in a bit more higher position. That's where he played for
But
yeah,
Liverpool.
that's true. He played with the Netherlands. He played behind the striker. He played behind the pie.
Yeah, yeah, he's played cam. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's one game where Wijnaldum played like none of his Paris Saint Germain games, and that's the game versus Leipzig where he scored two like center forward s goals.
Yeah, with the header, I remember.
Yeah. So I mean maybe the problem is more on Poch
yeah, yeah.
because
He
Poch
plays
saw
cam. He
how good
plays cam.
Wijnaldum was in that role and has really never tried that again.
But I don't think it's gonna work because that game Messi was not there, and like Wijnaldum, if he has to play a lot more like progressive forward role, it's not gonna play that when Messi's on the pitch. Nor Neymar. I think those two are way better in the as a cam or as false nine. Maybe when they're both not in the game, but
Yeah. So
on the side, I
Wijnaldum
don't
and
think Wijnaldum could take up the role of a false nine.
maybe he should become just a bench player for when we rest Neymar and Messi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
possible indeed. It's a big
Uh,
question.
oh, yeah, it's a big. FPL legend. Some other issue at Paris Saint Germain other than Wijnaldum, you would say?
Um, I think Messi figuring out his role in the team. What? Because obviously at Barca, he was the main goal scorer. And obviously just the star man. Do you think his role in PSG should be more of a playmaker?
Uh, I mean, he is already doing that. He's playing as a playmaker, having 8 assists in Ligue 1, I
15
believe, and
games. Yeah,
and 1 assist in the Champions League. But I think mostly about Messi, it's not about the role. It's about adaptation. Because when a player, how long did he play for Barca? Like 90 years.
A
So
little
he
less.
was used to the
70.
system. He was used to the players around him, the Jordi Alba, the Xavi, the Iniesta, the Busquets. And now this is the first time he has ever played for a different club. So it's really hard for him to adapt. I mean, we previously people said about Ronaldo's adaptation to a different league, to a different system, to a different team. But I mean, maybe Messi has needs much more time
Yeah,
to
that's
adapt
obvious.
to that.
It's obvious because Ronaldo, he hasn't played like 17 years at one club his whole life and then just switched to another club. He's played for I don't know 4 clubs or
mm,
five
Mm.
yeah,
in about 18 years. While Messi has played
yeah.
for 2 clubs, one which is just one season right now. But the biggest problem with
Half a
Messi is
season.
like, sorry, half season, yeah,
Half a season. Half season.
yeah, yeah. But the biggest problem is Messi. He's dropping way too deep. The midfield of Paris Saint-Germain is just not working. As a playmaker, I would like to see him more attacking as a playmaker, but
Mm.
right now he's playing as a central defensive midfield in the build-up. So
I- i-
I
Is
think the
there
progression is a big problem with Paris Saint-Germain.
is there any game where you think that Messi didn't drop back that much and it showed how good he was and in the attacking third? If
Well, the game against Leipzig probably. I think yeah, Leipzig probably. I think that game he was really good.
at home,
As a kind of behind or he played with Mbappe as a striker, I think, or little
He played
maybe
cam. He
behind
played cam.
Mbappe, but
He
he
played
played
center
good. He
forward.
played that good that game, as
Yeah,
far as I
he played.
remember.
He played cam.
Cam, yeah, I
He played
think
center
that
forward.
was the best role he had. But
Yeah.
it's essential that Paredes and Verratti both play.
Yeah,
because if one doesn't play, the build up is just messed up. It's really messed up because
Yeah, I
Paris
think
Saint-Germain
that's our
is
go-to midfield,
they
Paredes
don't
and
have
Verratti.
they don't have good midfielders besides Verratti and Paredes. Danilo occasionally can play, but he's not consistent. And for the rest, Herrera, Wijnaldum, and all those other guys, yeah, those are trash. They're not Paris Saint-Germain material. That's the problem. The midfield is the biggest problem. But what if Paris Saint-Germain played with three in the back? I think that would have changed the build up positively.
Th- three. I mean, if you remember against Real Madrid early on, I saw Danilo dropping back as a third centre back, and it worked well for Paris Saint Germain.
Yeah, I did. Especially with Nuno Mensch and Hakimi. It's really fundamental when they play in the as attacking wingbacks, creating spaces. You saw it with the goal against City, Messi.
Yeah,
The influence of Hakimi cutting inside,
But does this
outside.
mean that PSG can only play like really well when they have their best starting 11?
Well, if Poch is as a coach, yes, then yes. Maybe different when there's another coach, but with Pochettino, there's not much options than having the full squad.
FPL legend Pochettino at Tottenham, when he had like his best team, when he came second in the league and so on, when important players got injured, did it affect the team that much as it does at PSG?
Well, uh, like uh, uh, yes, like he struggles to find and he's kind of used to starting 11, and is just struggles to adapt players to like a different role. So you can see I right now um like Kara, for example, he can't like he's struggling to find like replacements for the fullbacks. Like that's why Mensch and Hakimi are so essential. So he was, I guess, off the bench. Maybe he didn't have a ton of players that could really provide like the same intensity and the same quality of play as the starting 11.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, he just struggled to rotate in general, I would say.
But then the key difference what I want to think about is if his system works only with certain players with certain qualities, then why does he keep on playing players that want to work in that position? Like as we said, Wijnaldum as a more central midfielder doesn't work. Why doesn't he play Mitrut, a more energetic and better presser?
yeah. I'll tell you what you got this because Wijnaldum is a signing he wanted. He wanted when he was in Spurs, he couldn't get Wijnaldum, and now that he's here, if he doesn't use it, it would like lead to more scrutiny, especially in the board. Like if you want a player so bad, and when you get him and you refuse to use him, it's like it reflects badly on the manager. Not that it could reflect any better right now, but
Yeah.
I think that's why he still plays Wijnaldum because he had no other reason because he wanted him here. He convinced him to come to PSG instead of Barcelona. He called him. He convinced him to turn the deal around to PSG. He did that, and then now that he's here, and if he doesn't use it, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing. Why is Wijnaldum still starting? And it's Poch's stubbornness too. He's a very stubborn manager. He refuses to play five at back, even though it seems to work every time. But he's like, that's good. Let's stop that. We're not doing that. We are doing it my way. And if it works, it works. And then he's a very stubborn manager, and that and the reason he's a new signing, which he has to try and somehow work out. It's an obligation.
Uh, yeah, definitely agree. One also question we need to talk about is the goalkeeper position. I mean, a lot of people I would say were overreacting over the last game against Nantes. Navas didn't have one of his best games, maybe one of his worst games in his PSG career. But I think a lot of people overreacted and said, "Oh, why isn't Donnarumma the first goalkeeper?" Donnarumma is the first goalkeeper, but it was like rotation, and Navas just did have
Yeah.
a bad game. It doesn't mean that Donnarumma should play 100% of all games. I think that Donnarumma should play most of the games, but Navas is still such a good goalkeeper that he can fill maybe 20, 25%, 30% of the rest of the games. No problem. Do you think that Paris Saint Germain fans and other, like maybe Messi fans and PSG watchers, were overreacting over Keylor Navas' performance?
Yes, I do, because I'm a Donnarumma fan and I understand the whole argument about starting Donnarumma every game. But even in other clubs, they do start the second goalkeeper because of rotation, because you don't want to exhaust the goalkeeper. It's not an easy job standing between the sticks, and you don't want to exhaust the player. And Navas is one of the best, if not the best, second choice goalkeeper in the world right now. Like, I don't think any team have the luxury of having a player of the quality of Keylor Navas as a second choice goalkeeper. And then I think people are just
Yeah.
overreacting and trying less understanding, because you should think of it from Navas's perfect point of view. Only one goal was really that bad. The rest of the two goals, obviously, Donnarumma wouldn't have considered that, but you cannot blame another goalkeeper, because Donnarumma's much bigger and he have one of the best stats about long shots. He have not considered a long range goal, Donnarumma. So, like that's one of the stats he has, and like obviously Donnarumma would have said that, but you can't blame him. He Navas started 100% of the games last season, and he was our main man, especially during the knockouts. He took us far to like the semi-finals, and all of us this season we have brought in a newer option, and he's under motivated. That's what Kayla Navas is. He does not have the motivation because he's definitely not starting, and even if we get the glory, would he be part of it? There's a lot of mental part going into him, and I think that's why he underperformed. But yeah, we were overreacting yesterday because there's no need for that. It's just one game.
Do you guys want to add something on that?
No, I have to agree because I mean obviously both are great goalkeepers, and Donnarumma should be playing more games. But look, I mean Navas has shown great consistency over past few years. I mean, he's obviously a older now, but he's still a top goalkeeper, and I mean I don't understand why Donnarumma should be playing every match, at least cup matches and more inconsequential maybe league matches. At least Navas should be playing.
Yeah. AM10.
Yeah, I agree. Like it can happen, but the problem with Navas is that his confidence has gotten low since Donnarumma has arrived. It's the second time that when he was the main keeper, that another keeper has joined the team, as well as in Madrid when Courtois came.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Navas is not as good as he used to be. But it's like it wasn't that bad comparison with like if you see Ter Stegen right now, who's awful at the moment. I wouldn't say he's that bad. He didn't have his game, but consistency might have played a role right there. So
Yeah. And I think as well it has to do with Paris Saint Germain over the past season with us ever since signing Keylor Navas he has been exceptional for us. We have a very high standard of goalkeeping right now at Paris Saint Germain. But we need to remember, I mean, the first chance, yes, Navas shouldn't let the ball go through his legs, but it was still a dangerous chance given away by our team. The second goal, I mean, no one can save that, and the third one is a penalty, and we're used to Navas saving a lot of penalties. So I believe that it's a mix of high expectations for a goalkeeper and some errors, of course, but I mean that game, and now we're gonna switch it on, was mostly about the attackers finishing. I mean, if our attack could finish their chances, we wouldn't be having this problem.
yeah, true. The attackers finishing, but also I thought Karen and Marquinhos, especially Marquinhos, they weren't as good as they used to be. Like Marquinhos, he never loses a 1v1. Never. I barely seen him lose a 1v1. But in that game, I think I've seen him three times, thrice. I've seen him thrice losing a 1v1. So yeah, it was all in general. The players were less consistent than they used to be. So yeah, no.
Uh, But what's the big? Why are they playing in such a different way in League and than the Champions League? Is it because of how the teams play against us? I
It's a
mean,
I just think
Real
it's a
Madrid,
hangover, bro. I just think it's a hangover. Evening to everybody. Blessings, peace, love to everybody on the stream.
my
Scaly,
bro, my
Shiana.
bro.
What's going on, my bro, my bro? But yeah, I think, bro, if we're being honest, after Man City, what was the first game we played in the league? I think we either drew or that was the last L we've had, I think, in the season. That was a bad, like this, we do this every time. It doesn't fail. Like, not saying that it's an excuse to put on the performance, but when we do perform in Champions League nights, the next game afterwards, like we don't have that good of a game. And if we're being honest, Wijnaldum shouldn't have started. That was his first start in months since injury. Gay
Yeah,
shouldn't have started. So, like, if we're being honest, us as the PSG fans, we know the team. Me seeing the squad sheet, I already knew what type of game it was going to be. Like, of course, I needed what I wanted to see was the quality of football and how Neymar starting his first game back. Because you see, it's a difference between Neymar and Wijnaldum and Gay. It's a difference night and day. Neymar can sit out however long and come back and still be. He's a rhythm guy, but he can still be like 50% of a footballer. You understand what I'm saying? So it's
yeah,
like what I wanted to see, especially after I saw the team sheet. I was like, yeah, I need to see how Mbappe and Neymar, how they all link up, because that's what we really care about. We want to see how the quality of football is progressing. So I don't even think the loss, to me, the loss isn't a bad deal because PSG INT. I even DM'd you. I was like, bro, what's going on? We're playing great quality football and we're down 2 goals. Like, how do you,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how does that go? You know? So yeah, I don't really think the
But
loss is that much of a big deal.
but what you said about the hangover, it's
Yeah.
very true. I mean, our two biggest wins this season, the 2-0 against Manchester City, game after that, we lost 2-0 against Rennes. And the
Yeah,
win
see?
against Real Madrid, we lost 3-1 against Nantes.
I'm telling
And
you.
even the other games, I mean, 3-2 against Leipzig, the game after, it was that stalemate against Marseille. The 2-2 against Leipzig, it was that 3-2 anticlimax in the end win against Bordeaux. So it's very true that after Champions League games, it's so hard for our players to come out and play 100% again because play they give so much for that Champions League game. It means so much to them. And yes, it's a good thing, but it has its negatives.
I think that's where depth comes in. I think we have depth, but we don't have quality depth. Like our second choice center back is Kara. He was not bad. I won't say he's bad, but he's not that amazing either. You know. And then we
Yeah,
can't expect Kara to be play like Marquinhos or like a focus Kimpembe. Like our midfield is crap regardless of depth. And our attack, like we have a Neymar's 29, 30 now. Messi is what 34, 35. Uh,
yeah,
Di Maria is around that same age. Mbappe is the only young attacker we have who Poch is willing to trust. And then after playing a midweek game, it's exhausting because that Real Madrid game we dominated them. What we had most of the possession. We were the only team doing any attacking. Obviously our players gave it their all, but then again we have depth. We don't have quality depth. Kara played at right back, and that's a horrible thing to do because he does not have the pace or the offensive mind to play right back. Juan Bernat is not that bad, but he's not that great either. But Juan Bernat's bringing in was a pure rotation, and it was not bad. But playing Kara at right back is one of the worst thing you could do to PSG because he just can't play that position. It's their part of his job description that he plays center back, right back, but that doesn't mean he's good at it. He's the worst right back I've ever seen. And like I watch championship football, and he's absolute crap when it comes to being a right back. Center back, he's good, but he's not a very good right back. And then yeah, I think that's where it comes to quality depth is what the problem is.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm being honest. That was Widowmaker who was just talking, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
If I'm being honest, and I'm gonna be completely honest because this is just how my viewpoint is on the season as a PSG fan is. I remember those days, the Unai Emery days, where we might not have had certain quality. Like we had Yuri Bershish playing left back, right? And then we had Giovanni Lo Celso in midfield, not midfield, in holding midfield roles. So in my opinion, from those days of seeing that crap from Emery, like being up on Barca and then going to Camp Nou with a defensive type of setup, that's why, in my opinion, you can blame Poch. My thing against Poch was early in the season was, why do we have Messi playing right wing? That's clear. We get no utilization from Messi and his current abilities playing him out lonely at winger. That makes no sense. At least put him more central, and that's what we've been doing. But even this game, like PSGINT said, it's just the hangover aspect, in my opinion. And even us as fans seeing the team sheet, we know Kara is not a good right back. We know Kara's been better at center back. We know that. So that's why in my seeing that, I wasn't really expecting this team to be dominant. And Marquinhos looked tired. It is what it is. He's been the best player, best center back, one of the best footballers in the world all season. But he looked tired. You can see, like, especially the first half. The second half, it was a bit better. But our team just looked drained. And there was really no cohesion in the midfield besides Verratti. That was really it. And if we're being honest, we had a low, bro. The game probably should have been like 6-3 if we're being honest. So like even again with us playing bad like we did against City, we still were able to be the controllers of our own destiny. We just didn't capitalize, and it is what it is. That's been the story of our season, finishing goals. So I mean, yeah, I don't think it's just a quality thing. Like because Kara, he's redeemed himself this season. If we're being honest, nobody really cusses or blames Kara anymore because he's been playing center back. Same for
Yeah,
Diallo. When they play their roles, they've been fine. So when you play out of your role, I expect foolishness from Kara at right back. And he didn't play that bad, but we just know as PSG fans, he's not a right back at all.
someone wants to add on that? All right. I mean, you talked about finishing, and finishing has been a big problem for Paris Saint Germain this season.
Right.
Why? I mean, why?
If if I'm being honest, PSGINT, right, and you can tell by how I talk, like I don't really just say random things. Most of the things I'm saying I see. And for me, I think that it's a combination of things, right? When Neymar was healthy in the beginning of the season, and then Neymar was dropping really like if we see Neymar drop into these CM roles where he's going from virtually box to box, and he's one of our best scorers. So if he Neymar's shots per game, I think is down like 3 to his average. He's down 3 shots this year. So when we look at him and he gets a chance, and we're like, oh, well, Neymar should easily bury that chance, or this person should easily bury that chance. If us as fans looking at it, yeah, they should be burying these chances. But if we look at Lewandowski, look how he plays for Bayern. Look how he's played the last 3 times we've seen Lewandowski. He's really done nothing to hurt PSG. Okay, we didn't see him the last year because he was injured, but I'm saying when we see him, he takes 3, 4, 5 goals in order to score a goal for Bayern, and he gets praised because he's the goal scorer. So when you see Neymar specifically, like I'm not gonna even address the fact that our finishing has been atrocious. It has been. I don't know why. I like. I was you see Neymar's goal against Nantes. That goal was probably the hardest goal Neymar has scored in the last 10 chances that he's had, and he made it look like it was just easy. So I don't think it's a thing about mentality or a thing about actual technique. I just think it's just real situational. And I think if we're being honest, PSG from since the since the Club Bruges, the last Club Bruges Champions League game, if we're talking about football, we've improved as a collective, and our finishing is still mediocre, but it's been progressively better than it was in the beginning of the season. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I always look at the stats after the game, and one big problem we had at the beginning of the season was creating big, clear-cut chances.
Right,
But but the latest game we have created a lot of them. It just the finishing touch hasn't been there.
right,
So I mean, I remember in the beginning of the season, sometimes we finished game with 0 or 1 big chance per game.
right.
Against Nantes, we had 6. Against Real Madrid, I don't know, maybe we had 4, 3. So yes, we're getting the ball closer to the goal, better chances, but that conversion rate, as you said, is a maybe the PSG players aren't used to getting that many chances. Maybe that's because why they're missing so many chances. Because before they, I mean, they aren't used to scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, honestly, and PSGINT, you know, I'm very optimistic only because I've been so scarred in the past from PSG situations, like that last Man United PSG situation, man. Like since then, I've been kind of numb to a lot of things. So me, I'll take this Poch. Like I know people don't like Poch, and I know Zidane is on the horizon, so of course you want Zidane. But bro, honestly, I'll take this version of Poch than any version of Unai Emery in the last year of Laurent Blanc, bro. I'm being really honest because it's just like
Mm.
I can see that this team can have success. Even back in those days, we all remember Zlatan was immense in France. But every time we had a Champions League game, every PSG fan alike, in their mind, they would say, okay, is this the game where Zlatan's going to show why he's the best center forward in or why or is Lavezzi gonna be healthy? Like we remember those dark times we've had, bro. So like this is a lot better to me than those dark days. I gotta be honest, especially with the quality of football now. Like PSG INT, you are watching the game. I'm seeing some link up play that we haven't like we've been asking for this type of play all season, and we're now seeing it. I'm seeing Draxler ping through balls, Messi get the through balls off to Neymar, like 1-2 link up plays with the midfield. I'm like, wait, I was so confused how well we were playing, but we were just down. We were just weren't scoring.
Yeah, but for me, the question is it too late
I
for
don't think
this season?
so.
Because this season it's all about that Champions League. It's all about trying to do as best as possible with
Right.
a younger Messi, a younger Neymar, and a Kylian Mbappe. And who knows? If we go on to win the Champions League, he might sign that contract extension. And I'm hearing so many people. We can talk about this now. Do you want Mbappe to extend with it being, I mean, reported for 1 million per week contract? And
I
my
don't.
answer is
I don't
definitely
care.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's the best player in the world. I mean, if you went back to 2011, wouldn't you want prime Messi, prime Ronaldo? I'm not comparing Mbappe to any of them. I'm just saying that he's the best player in the world, and he will be there for a long time. Let's just have him for more. I mean, we will make that money back just from his sponsorships. I mean, Macron, the president of France, wants him there. So we're going to get so much support from the French government, so much money from sponsorships, from Nike, from everything. It's a win win situation. I mean, AM10 and Widow Wake Maker, if you want to add something on the Mbappe, I mean, what do you think about
Well,
people?
the thing about Mbappe is if we are extending him for what we say is 1 million a week, I don't think Messi earns that. Messi earns what 450K. Yeah, and like okay, let's think about this. Okay, it's a basic psychological thing. We all know Mbappe, right? Yeah, I agree. He is one of the best players in the world right now. I think he's among youngsters. I think he's the best young talent prospect. He's 22 years of age, and one negative point about Kylian Mbappe is, first of all, I don't think it will happen because Perez have done that thing where he said if you either you join now or you don't join at all. So I don't think he'll extend no matter what money we offer, and
Mm,
even if he does, it will be for like 2 years. So he'll just be staying here for the money basically. So I don't think he'll have, and I don't think he'll do it. But even if he does, it should be for like crazy money, like $1 million. And even if he does, think of this: he's a 22-year-old guy earning 1 million per week, and he have who this Mbappe have been known for having egoistic problems, and what he have been having like basically he fell out with Tuchel like outside, like right outside, like where everyone can see. Like on the ground, he was like, "Why did you take me out?" We all saw that. So he have had major ego issues in the past, and I think he still does because, you know, he does want to be the main man of the club, and that's one of the main things. Not just joining Real Madrid, he wants to be their main guy. He wants to be the poster boy, and then like paying this guy $1 million or euros, whatever it is, like it's just like adding fuel to the fire, right? Like he's just going to be a much bigger problem to deal with in the future when it comes to such thing. And I don't think it's able to like you said, through brand deals. I don't think we'll be able to revive like that the money, because we paid 190 million for him to Monaco, and for the past few years we have been paying 30 million for 4 years. So that would make a grand total of around $300 million. And then Like I don't think we have made that of him through brand deals because obviously he isn't that big of a right now he is, but throughout the 4 years he isn't the big player he was now,
Yeah, but I'm
right?
talking
And
more about the future.
two
If we
years, you think
extend
we'll
him,
be able to make 2 years plus? What is $1 million a week for 2 years? It's like 50 million a season, right?
mm,
So that's another 100 million within the 2 years. So that's
Bro,
400 million, which we are supposedly
w-
supposed to
wait,
revive
wait,
using
Lord
brand
K,
deals.
Lord K.
yo,
Before you talk, let AM10 say what he wants.
Yes, yes.
okay.
Well, about Mbappe, Mbappe is one of the best in the world. He's really good, and I think he could be crucial for you guys' achievements in the coming season at least if he signs. The biggest problem for me with Mbappe is kind of sometimes he tends to be selfish. So he gets those chances where he can pass and they can score, but he refuses to, and then chances are gone. But I think if Paris Saint-Germain still wants to be on high level, even after Messi leaves, um, or after Neymar retires as well. So the biggest problem is then who's going to be your main attacker? Mbappe has that. He's a generational talent. Generational talent. He can be your main man for years. I just don't see it happening. To be honest, I think his ambition for Real Madrid is way too big. He has always he's always wanted to join the club, and when there's a passion since you were a kid, you're not gonna let that lose. So I don't think he's gonna sign. Or if he's gonna sign for 1 year, and that's gonna be it. But then again, will Real Madrid be signing him in the season after? That's a big question because if Kylian decides to sign up for another year, it might be that Real Madrid chooses to sign Haaland instead of Mbappe. So, but for me, I think he sees Paris Saint-Germain as a step to Real Madrid. That's what I see.
But Lord K, let me just add quickly. With I mean Mbappe not being 100% right now in Real Madrid, some reports are saying they're a bit like scared or something or worried about his situation. It's showing that Mbappe can stay at Paris Saint Germain for a longer period, like Eden Hazard at Chelsea. Like Chelsea did everything to keep Hazard, even though they knew he wanted to go to Real Madrid. Same with Ronaldo at Manchester United. They did everything to keep him as long as possible, and I think that we should do the same with Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for you guys. That's one thing that I'm sure about. But yeah,
Yeah,
it depends. It depends on his mood. I think it also depends on how the season goes and how the season goes of Real Madrid. If
If
like
I
Real
can say
Madrid
something,
plays, yeah, sure.
yeah, neither of these players, Hazard and what Ronaldo, didn't get offered what world record salaries. Like Prime Messi didn't earn that money, okay, and Messi basically bankrupted Barcelona with the wages he had.
That's not true.
I'm not saying that's his pro. I'm not saying no. It's like he had the biggest wage. Come on, let's. He was earning what
Yeah, but
50
he
million per season.
he generated way more money. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
know the
agree. No, that's what I'm
sponsor,
saying.
the
No,
t-shirts and all that.
okay, that's a. Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, whatever. Okay, now, but the thing is that no, okay. Now let's say we sign a Haaland. What is to say he wouldn't ask for that money? Let's say we had to a new player. Let's say Pogba is coming, and then what is to say he won't ask for like 800K. Like that's the problem. Like once we offer someone that much money, soon everyone will be like, "What am I not that crucial?" Like Donnarumma's 22 now. Within like 4 years, his contract will expire. He'll be 26 then, and then he would obviously be one of the best goalkeepers by then. And then what is to say he would be like, "I want 1.2 million per week." That's how inflation works, right? If you
okay,
offer one
okay.
player $1 million per week, then everyone would want it. Like
All
Yeah, but
right.
who realistically is gonna like? They can request that type of money, but if you're not worth it, then you're not even gonna get that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can ask for that type of money, but it doesn't work like that.
You need to deserve it.
Ander Herrera earns 200K. Do you think he worth he like
I mean,
what?
I
He's
mean,
worth it.
I'm saying coming from the like we know how negotiation works, we know how agent fees work, we know how all that works. So it's gonna be in the best interest of the club. He might not be worth it, but he's gonna negotiate to get whatever is in the reaching point. And this is
No, no,
football.
no.
Like
Do you think like right now Ander Herrera earns 200K per week? He barely even plays. Do you think he's worth it?
I
Like
mean, is that
especially
is that is
being
that
Absolutely
is
a
not.
that
petro state,
200K
we have been known for splashing money on players, and I think soon that's what happened. Everyone wants more money from us. We tried to buy our. They asked 40 million from Arsenal. They asked 80 million from us.
And that's the
Like
Yeah,
problem of
but
your
that's
club.
that.
Your
Yeah, but
club.
that's not something to do with the club per se. That's French league tax. We know that. That's how it's always been. French teams always tax PSG when PSG want players. That's
But
not.
if
That's nothing to
anyone
do.
wants
Paris
players,
Saint
that's
Germain
how
has
it
a
is.
Paris Saint Germain has a huge problem with salary. Look. For example, Sergio Ramos. I don't know how much he earns. A lot probably, and he's actually quite
400 to
finished. He's been
500.
injured for the whole season
Yeah.
in last year, and then Real
Yeah,
Madrid
that's what I'm
tries to
saying now.
sign him.
Think of
And
what would
what is
happen if you
Ramos
pay
now
me.
doing? He's earning the
Yeah,
money and sitting on the couch watching Paris Saint Germain. That's exactly what
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
doing.
but if we're being honest, we don't know the extent of Sergio Ramos's injury. So I mean, even getting him, still, I think he's still an asset. If he can, if
yeah,
he
yeah.
can, if he can, if he can get past whatever, and I'm gonna be honest, that's also the benefit of PSG in modern day. Because if this was before, that would be hurting us. He's a
Yeah.
necessity to me. He's not a you know what I'm saying? He's an addition.
Liability.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
He's not a yeah. So the fact that we can afford to, and it of course it sounds insane, but from PSG where they were to where they are now, this would have been a hindrance because we would have needed Sergio Ramos. I'd rather Sergio Ramos take as much time as he need, even if
I
it's this
agree.
year.
Yeah.
He takes as much time as he need, doesn't rush back, and then when we really need him the most, like let's say Kerr or Diallo leave, then now, if Sergio Ramos is continuing to have this injury, I understand it doesn't make any sense. But I'd rather him take as much time as he need now that we don't need him. So when we do need him, it's fine. I still don't. I'm still not mad at that purchase from PSG,
Yeah.
regardless of how much he's on, because as long as we're balancing the books as far as financial fair play and revenue splits, if PSG are doing it within the realms of possibility and it makes sense, go for it. Do it. As long as we're not leaving ourselves exposed, so we're just winning now. If we're doing it in a structured way where it's okay, I don't care about like this whole money thing. Like we could argue until we're blue in the face about how much money should be spent here. Like, bro, this is PSG. They're gonna do it and they're gonna continue to do what they've been doing. It's obvious they don't care about certain money and certain things like that. But if as long as it's not hindering the club, I'm not
I
arguing
understand
about it.
that. I understand what the biggest problem with salaries is. Person obviously can afford it. They've got a lot of money. But the problem is when players get so much salary, the motivation to
Yeah.
play to even help the squad is going to lower. Is going to be less valuable. When
That's
Yeah.
true.
when
Not
people
only
are
that, that
they
whole
can they can
mentality is
just
wrong.
they can just sit on the couch and earn money and they don't have to do anything. When players
Yeah,
get
but
a
I'm gonna
lower
I'm gonna I'm
salary
gonna
and they get
ask
the
you. I'm gonna ask you as outside looking in at
yeah
PSG right now. Who would you say that player is? Because I watch these players. I don't really think if you say Draxler, I still won't even say Draxler because even when he comes in and he still has integral moments. Since he might not be quality 90 minutes, but Draxler still has integral moments. Now, if you say like Levin Kurzawa, he doesn't play, but he's one of those players that you're talking about. That's really
Sergio
the only.
Rico,
Yeah, I
He's
mean
gone. He's gone.
that
Sergio Rico's gone.
that's another thing.
we still have
What
him. We have Letelier. We
and
have all
that's
these
Leonardo.
goalkeepers and huh?
That's
Yeah,
problem
yeah. That's
with
Leonardo.
Leonardo. He has
Yeah.
such a big problem selling PSG's dead wood. I mean, we have had players for so many seasons that have played like one, two. For me, Dagba, for example, a player we should sell. Kurzawa, sell. Ander Herrera, sell. Draxler, sell or let him terminate his contract. I mean, we don't use these players enough
The thing
to
with
give
Dagba
them
is
and
that
you know what
much
the
loan him
problem is
out.
opportunity.
from that? You know what the problem is? It's a salary. Just like Barcelona, we've had problem
Yeah.
with Longle, with other dead woods, but they wouldn't leave because of the salary. So when you give players such a high salary, at the moment when they value lowers, they're not gonna leave. They're gonna stay. That's got money. So in order to make sure that people when they players when they get worse, that they're gonna leave, you need to make sure that their salary is not too high to make sure that they're not gonna want to stay because that's
Yeah,
gonna add up
precisely.
all kind of problems.
Yeah.
So
So what makes you think like extending Mbappe for 1 million would be a great deal then? Because like even if they won't,
No,
all these
I'm
other
thinking
players
most
won't
on
ask
the
for $1 million.
pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the
on the pitch
difference
he
between
provides.
Mbappe and the
Yeah,
Kurzawa
obviously, it's a
is
difference in players. Yeah.
Mbappe, his
Yeah, but they
quality
wanna
on
ask
the
1
pitch
million.
is at
Okay.
least a goal or assist per game.
Yeah, but
It's the
Dagba
management.
could ask for 400.
The management is crucial. I've seen that with Barcelona. You've seen it with the defense
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
past 4 years.
Barcelona.
It's been trash, and the only reason
Yeah,
was it's Bartomeu really just he spent money and he didn't care. And the players Coutinho, Dembele, Longle can add up a lot of players. They didn't want to
Yeah,
leave. They got a
the,
lot of money, and they just their motivation to even do something just was completely gone.
yeah, but the difference there between Paris Saint Germain and Barcelona is that PSG's revenue right now and in the future will become for me the biggest, the best one in the like the highest revenue in the world. Their
I'll tell you something.
collaboration with Nike for the Jordan kits, and they have the highest Nike sponsorship deal, I believe, in the world. All of these
Yeah,
stuff combined, that PSG, even though they spend a lot of money on wages, we will never have a problem like Barcelona where we have to sell to to stay as a club, where we have like the Messi situation. PSG will never have that kind of situation because the
yeah,
amount
but
of
that's
money.
exactly
Yeah, but
what
you know what? That's
Barcelona
that's
thought,
the
though.
internal
Yeah,
problem
that's
within
exactly what
Spain.
Barcelona thought because
It's
until
in,
the pandemic, they actually was number one in revenue. I think they still are bringing in the most money. Any football club, Barcelona brings in the most money, and they still are. But the thing is that they never thought this would happen. But all of a sudden, the pandemic came and basically fucked them over because like they could no longer afford it because players weren't playing, match revenue. There was no trophies being won. There was nothing being bought. And it could happen. We can't just say, what, we are PSG, we have this much money. And that's exactly what happened at Barcelona. That whole
yeah. It's
mentality is
also
what fucked them over because they spent all that money thinking that nothing would happen to us. Look at us, we are Barcelona, we have all this money.
True, true.
Money
but
keeps
also
on
another
coming in.
reason. Also another reason. It has got to do with fair play. The Paris Saint-Germain really got its pros having a good relationship with the French government, so that the French government could help them with the fair play rules, loosen it a bit. While Barcelona actually has this problem with the Spanish government. Madrid, Barcelona, they've got this huge, I don't want rivalry, I would call it. So for Barcelona to follow up on its fair play rules, they're really strict in comparison with which
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain has. It's not the same. There's a big difference. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
they didn't
obviously,
stop you from
if
paying those massive wages to Dembele and all those players. Like, how much did you buy
yeah,
him
but
for? You
that's the
bought him for
result of poor
120.
management.
You bought
That's the result of
Coutinho
poor
for
management.
150. And all those players, we have only bought like two players out of in a whole history for like 100 plus million, and that's Mbappe and Neymar. Like, I don't
But,
think we have spent more than like what 60 million. Hakimi next.
but
Who's the next lowest?
do you guys know
Uh,
what the salary cap is of Paris Saint-Germain?
I don't know.
Salary
I
cap.
think it's supposed to be very high because
I think it's
Messi
higher
is
than
earning
Barcelona, to be
45
honest.
million. Yeah,
Yeah,
Neymar's
the
earning
league
32.
difference. Yeah.
There's a big difference
Yeah,
there.
I think we are spending a lot
Uh,
more.
they haven't talked that much. Dragon, you just joined.
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have to tell you to talk. You can just talk like
Yeah,
AM10
I
and we
didn't
don't
want
make
to.
your
I
time.
didn't want to jump in and interrupt, so I was just waiting.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. No, no, this is discussion. I mean, he says something better. He says like we climb a mountain together to reach the best answer and the best opinion of something. And same with you, FPL legend. So I think that both of you now, whatever, I mean, you want to talk about that, we talked about the Mbappe situation, the wage problem at PSG. Dragon, you can start, and FPL legend, you can continue after him.
Yeah, all right. I was gonna ask you though. Are you gonna upload this on your YouTube channel, or is this just gonna stay on Twitter, like stream
No,
yard?
no, no, no. It's coming on YouTube later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I was just wondering. All right.
Yeah,
Let me start.
let me. I did a problem. I lived it on Twitter instead of YouTube. Big mistake. What happened? It's the first time I've used StreamYard, so that's
Yeah.
why. But I will like re-upload it as a video. But next time it will be a stream, so we will probably have some questions and so on. And for the rest of the people, can you drop in the private chat in StreamYard? Drop your ads so I can start a group chat so we can stay together after this. So Dragon, you can continue.
Okay. Let me start with Mbappe. Like he's been the PSG's best attacker this season. Like he's been brilliant. Against Real Madrid, he came in clutch and like he really wanted to win that game for us. He's been performing
Yeah,
very well, creating, goal scoring, and like he's been putting in a lot of effort. And the Real Madrid performance, I was really impressed because the whole team stepped up and like they put in a shift. And I got to give credit to Pochettino as well. But regarding Mbappe and him leaving in the summer, I do think he will leave. I just think it's because it's his dream and his ambition. However, this season is very important in the Champions League, and we got to go as far as we can. And maybe depending on what happens in the Champions League, then he might reconsider his future. But I do think definitely beating Real Madrid is an indication to say, okay, look, we're going in the right direction. We're further closer to winning the Champions League than Real Madrid are because Real Madrid need to rebuild the majority of their team to compete
yeah,
at the top. PSG have got players in their prime, got great young players, good fullbacks, and they're just closer to the end goal of the Champions League. But and also we're offering him a lot of money, so if he's not gonna re-sign because of that, then I don't think we can force him to sign anymore because we're offering him everything we can. And if he does end up deciding to leave, then you just have to respect the decision because you can't force someone to do that. Like it's just
yeah,
life. You've got to move on. And but if he did leave, it would be very sad, and it would be a struggle to replace him because Mbappe is one of one, as you said. You said he's the best player in the world, and you can't argue with that. And like his just versatility, he can play both wings. He can play up front. He's running behind, great technical ability. So I do worry if he does leave and we don't win the Champions League this season because it's just Neymar, we can't count on him every season, even though he's a great player. You know, he's injury prone. We have to accept that. And Messi, we don't know how long he can play at the top level for. So replacing him would be difficult. But speaking on this season, um, hopefully we can get a decent draw in the Champions League and we can try and win it. You know, because that's the dream, of course, for this club. And we need to just replicate the performance in the second leg because I watched the game on the weekend and I wasn't impressed because I watched your video talking about the analysis of the Madrid game, and I just expected, a performance to just our strongest players were playing basically, and we lost, ended up losing. The finishing was a problem in that game, and if you play better teams in the Champions League, that can't be happening because you're gonna get punished by better teams. So that needs to improve. But hopefully, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe can play some more games together, and that can improve going into the second leg. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
yeah, 100%. And the last question I want to ask you, Dragon, is this reported deal of Mbappe getting a 1 million per week contract. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down for that?
There's pros and cons for both. Like for example, you could give him that contract, and touch wood, like he could get injured, and he's never the same player, and you're stuck with that player. But on the other hand, we know how good he is and how good he can become. And if that's what's going to make him stay, then I would say offer him the contract because if that's going to make him stay, then we're going to need him in our team because it's only a positive because he's a great player. But it is very expensive and it does make the wage bill very high. And as other people were saying earlier, um, other players that will want to sign for you and renew their contract will ask for more money. The same thing is happening with Salah and Liverpool, not to the same extent, but um, the Liverpool want to keep him just how like PSG want to keep Mbappe, but Salah's party is asking for too much money in Liverpool's eyes, and that's just going to mess up their wage structure. It's similar with this if Mbappe would sign that contract, but PSG and the money we do have, you know, giving him that contract, if that's going to make him stay, then yeah, that I'm fine with that because it's only going to help the club on the pitch. Like off the pitch, that's got nothing to do with us. Let the people that run that, that's their problem. On the pitch, that's why I support PSG. That's why I watch these great players to see the best players. And if you're going to tell me Mbappe is going to stay, but he's going to be the highest paid player or whatever, I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dragon, also put your ad in the private chat.
Yeah.
FPL legend, what do you want to say
Yeah,
about this
so
Mbappe wage situation?
obviously Mbappe will be right now is already one of the best players in the world, and I think in some years will be the best in the world. Um, So obviously the $1 million a week contract, it's a lot, but I don't see a problem with it. Because not only obviously on the pitch you'll be getting goal contribution, but I think off the pitch because he will start to bring in like a big brand deals. Obviously Macron kind of supports him. Uh,
Yeah,
but the I think the problem that is not with the wage bill is not necessarily at the top with Mbappe and like the big owners. It's with the deadwood and how difficult it is for PSG to get rid of the deadwood because I think maybe the deadwood just have no reason to leave because Leonardo had just given them too big of contracts because I don't know exactly what the contract deals are, but you know Kazawa, Dagba, Herrera, uh,
yeah,
Draxler, but they just don't have any reason to leave, and I think that's the problem with the wage bill. Not at the top with giving Mbappe say like in a million a week contract if he just to make him stay.
mm,
You guys got to
uh,
remember too. Also, we can say about moving them, but Draxler and Kurzawa, they have team friendly. Like they took when they signed their extension, they took pay cuts as well. So like they're not on actual. I think that's another thing that is too. Like we forgot that Draxler got an extension, and Kurzawa got an extension. At the time, I was like, why are these players getting extended? Then I looked at the contracts, and it was actually like fair contracts, regardless of Kurzawa never stepping on the pitch for us. I guess, but yeah, and even Dogba. If we're being honest too, Dogba played in he played against Bayern and actually had a good and played well
yeah,
against Bayern. So, we can say about certain these players. Of course, they don't deserve, but to me, for to getting paid, I don't care about Dogba's because he's not on a crazy contract either. He's still like on his from coming from the youth team. He's not on a wicked contract as well.
yeah, true. Uh, so, and any last things from Will You Make It AM10 FP Legend Dragon Lord K before we end this stream?
Yeah,
Oh
one
yeah,
question. Oh, go ahead, go ahead. I'll wait.
I was just gonna. Did you guys speak about the Madrid tie before I got here?
No, but I mean, when we come closer to the Real Madrid tie, we can have a podcast only about that game and talk about the previous game and what we want to see from the next game.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
All
one
right.
question.
Yes.
What do you guys think about Di Maria and his performances?
I mean,
Bro, he's
he
fine.
has been. No, I don't think so. I mean, in the
No,
Real
no,
Madrid
INT.
game,
I
he
mean,
was
he's
the
fine
black
as.
sheep. He
Go ahead,
was
my
the
bad. Go
only
ahead.
player that was not performing at the top level as the rest of the team. What you want to say about Di Maria?
I think after his knock, his recent knock he took, he hasn't been good since that knock. But I don't think I think people when it comes to Di Maria, people are like revisionists. Remember at the time, PSGINT, even though I know it was trolling as well, when they before Neymar went down, people wanted to actually see Di Maria in the starting front three and not Neymar because at the time Neymar wasn't finishing. So this is what people asked for. People got what they asked for. But either way, to me, he's been playing bad recently, but he just came back from playing for Argentina, playing
Mm-mm-mm.
well with the Argentina national
Yeah.
team. So Di Maria is a player where it's weird. He can have these 6 games of bad stretches, and then out of nowhere, he's Di Maria again. So I really do think it's since the last injury he just received that he's been poor these last 2 games. But yeah, I don't think there's any big like question mark because just beforehand, Di Maria was one of the better players for PSG, attacking wise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Di Maria,
let me
it's
answer that.
like he he seems to make a lot of mistakes, but he dares to play. He's not someone who just passes back. He tries to be progressive, to create chances, to take action on really. That's
Yeah.
something that's really underrated by Di Maria.
What I'll say about Di Maria as well is that you need to understand his role in the team, and it's different this season than to last season because of Messi, and like he's got to learn to play with Messi. They're both left-footed, so they do occupy similar areas. And I would say with Di Maria, we shouldn't expect him to perform on the same level as Mbappe, Neymar, Messi because we know he's not as good as a player. But he always gives 100%, and like against Real Madrid on the ball, he could have done better, and he didn't play good, I would say, but he was pressing, he was closing down players, he was tracking back, helping Hakimi, and like he put in a team performance. That's all you can ask if you're not doing great on the ball, that you're gonna work hard. And like
Yeah.
for example, if Neymar started, we wouldn't have got the same defensive and off the ball work rate. So I will give that to Di Maria, that he did work hard. But yeah, we want to see improvement in his performance. But he's in and out of the team. He just came back from injury. But like, I respect Di Maria, yeah.
True, true, true. Uh, it was 1 minute, 4 minutes, and 51 seconds of amazing chats, discussions. I mean, even some points I had about Paris Saint Germain have maybe changed a bit because of your opinions and your strong opinions. And it's lovely that us PSG fans can have a place where we can talk, because it's not often that us PSG English talking fans can have a platform to talk on and so on.
Yeah.
So I want to say a big thanks to AM10, FPL legend, Widowmaker, Lord K, and Dragon for being here. Lovely chat, and I hope I can see at least most of y'all on the next podcast.
Yeah,
And
definitely, man. Definitely.
a name for the podcast. The previous name I had was the PSD Show, but if you have any other suggested names, you can say them now or DM me later on Twitter.
Yeah.
Maybe Champions League talk. Let's talk about Champions League. I want to see
Yeah,
your views on other Champions League teams that are
yeah.
going
I
on.
mean, we can have one where we talk more about football in
In
general.
general, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, after the Nantes game, there's a lot of points to talk about PSG. That's why. But
Yeah,
sometimes maybe there isn't that much to talk about PSG, and then we can talk more broadly about football. But
true.
I just want to say thanks you all for being here. It was nice talking to everyone, and have a great game. Have a great day, and Alepa.
Yeah, you
As
too,
we
man. Peace,
Take
peace,
care,
peace
man.
out, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.